As the dust settles from the unification of the Wildrose and Progressive Conservative parties, leadership candidate Brian Jean is being blamed for saddling the new United Conservative Party with $322,000 in debt. Of course, he was the leader of the Wildrose Party, which brought the almost $350,000 in debt into the UCP, and because of that shortfall, 7 staff members have been laid off, mostly from the former Wildrose caucus. So this is pretty hypocritical coming from a party that calls out the NDP's deficits and bad spending habits while saying they practice fiscal prudence. This actually means that the Wildrose's deficit sat at around 21% for the first half of 2017, while the NDP sat at 19% of the provincial budget. Remember, these are budgets funded by the taxpayer. Not only this, but a government-wide problem was revealed when former finance critic Derek Fildebrandt was caught earning money for his taxpayer-subsidized apartment on Airbnb, which opened up a huge can of worms. MLAs from both sides of the aisle were caught double-dipping for meals, sharing accommodations, and expensing the maximum allowance, making it appear as though they're all one and the same. But then there's the whole issue of Brian Jean hiring on more staff. Get this, the UCP had 38 staffers for 28 MLAs, while the NDP have 24 for 55. That looks really bad. We'd definitely expect some overlap of staff with the merger, but even with layoffs, they have 31 support staff members, still more than the NDP that have a much larger caucus. And now those laid off staff members are speaking out. In a Facebook post, Cole Kander, who was involved with the Wildrose Party in several different roles starting in 2012 and claims that he idolized Brian Jean at one point, says that he was let go due to, quote, Brian Jean's gross purposeful mismanagement of caucus funds. He's also charging that Jean hired 30% more staff to use up as many budget dollars as possible in order to get a head start in his leadership race. So now it's alleged that although many of the new staff were hired to work for the party, they were actually completing specific tasks for Jean only, and maybe the layoffs wouldn't have happened if Jean hadn't hired on so many people. Now 11 of the Wildrose Party's former staff are also on leave and are working on leadership campaigns, including Jean's. It's unclear as to whether they'll be hired back after the leadership race is over. So Brian Jean says he had no control over the layoffs, which seems to be a pretty convenient excuse considering he did all the hiring. And what's more is that sources are saying that MLAs are being asked to dip into their expenditure allowances granted by the Legislative Assembly Office to cover the debt off. That means that each of those MLAs can contribute up to $40,000 apiece. Jean himself says that budgets are seasonal and that the party will be on track by the end of the year if he's selected as leader, since he's always come in on target. If everything was just fine like Jean says it is, why would the party be asking MLAs to dip into funds that they use to research policy and hold the NDP to account on behalf of taxpayers? Why would all of this be happening at all? Some members of the UCP caucus are saying Jean wouldn't come clean with the financials even after asking for them repeatedly. Others say he's been forthcoming, so stories just aren't lining up. Either way, this is going to be a really tough sell for Jean. He's already been scrutinized for cozying up to the teachers' union that brought us Alison Redford, who made lofty promises to education in exchange for votes. MLAs in his former party were caught double-dipping expenses and actually making money off of taxpayer-funded accommodations, and now there's this. So I also really think it's important to isolate this stuff because it can end up poisoning the well. I don't think every member of the UCP is abusing taxpayer money. But look, I hate to be the bearer of bad news. All of this stuff happened under the leadership of Brian Jean, and it's really important for leaders to take responsibility. And if this is what he has on offer, how is it different from what's been on offer from leaders of the past and what we have right now? Actually, I can tell you what the only difference is. We expect this kind of behavior from Rachel Notley and the NDP, not from Conservatives. For the Rebel.media, I'm Holly Nicholas. Thanks so much for watching. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button so that you don't miss the other side of the story in Canadian news that you're just not going to find anywhere else.